ArmChair GM podcast brought to you by the Hockey Podcast Network. Let's go with some bold predictions.
Well, with the season coming up around the corner, Chris and I decided that we'd do a couple of hot takes, some bold predictions on which teams may make wild card spots or better that didn't last year, and which teams may or may not fall out of the playoffs this season. And then we're going to talk a little bit about some Flames predictions as far as stats and stuff like that go. So yeah, Chris, let's talk about the first team that you think is not going to make or is going to make the playoffs in the Columbus Blue Jackets.
The Columbus Blue Jackets obviously made their team significantly better. Not only with the addition of Johnny Gaudreau, but you and I have both been a big Gabranson fan over the last, what do you want to call it, 11, 10 months?
Something like that, the
Something
last
like
year or
that.
so.
Last
Yeah.
year or so. Obviously, it didn't look great coming out of training camp, but I tell you
Yeah.
what, he became a real staple for the Flames last season. So,
Not a 4x4 type of a fan, but still a pretty big fan.
well, 100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
we both agreed that the contract was too much for us.
Yeah.
But good on him for grabbing it.
Oh, absolutely.
I think Patrick Laine is going to be the biggest recipient of all the trades that went down this season. He's never really had a playmaker to play with him, and I think they're actually going to be a pretty deadly duo. So
Yeah, I think Mark Scheifele maybe you could count as a good playmaker, but he's not a Johnny Gaudreau level playmaker.
that's right.
And yeah, I know you've heard me talk about for years, because the Flames have been looking for that right winger for Gaudreau for years.
Yeah,
And I've been banging that we should get Line A drum, and now we
I
get to see it, just not with Calgary.
I was secretly hoping that Laine wasn't going to sign and we could pick him up, but alas, here we are.
Yeah. The one thing about Columbus I'm going to bring up is right now their 1-2 center is Cole Sillinger and Boone Jenner.
Yeah,
And I love Cole. I like both those players,
yeah,
but I don't think either of them are um ready for top line minutes. Like Jenner's probably more of a third line center on a good team, and Sillinger's a great prospect with a great uh
yeah.
possibilities of what he's going to be. I think he's going to be a first line center eventually, but I think he's got another 2-3 years left, and that's why if it was me talking about Columbus, I would probably put them in the playoffs another year. They're another year away from making that step,
Yeah, that's fair. That's
but I do think that they're close.
Yeah. I mean, they missed out by by a number of points, right? Because they finished off the season last year with 81 points.
Yeah,
Um, so I mean, there is what, four teams ahead of them, three teams ahead of them. Sorry,
yeah.
outside of the
Playoff
wild
picture.
card. Um, I do believe Gaudreau is that much of a regular season factor
Yep.
to give him that extra push, and I think with Gaudreau that gives them, I'm going to say, six extra wins.
Yep. Which
So
is 12 points, and yeah.
hmm,
And if you think about it, every like most of those extra wins are going to be losses for teams that they're chasing, right?
that's
So,
right. Yeah, there'll be
um,
divisional wins and things like that. So that's
exactly. So,
that's my take on Columbus. I think they're going to be a kind of a team to watch just because of their newfound duo,
yeah,
which I suspect they'll be playing together. And then, you know,
I don't
obviously,
see how you couldn't put those two together.
right, right, yeah, you'd have to be Glenn Gulletson to not put those two together.
Exactly. So what do you think about whose spot they might steal?
Well, I mean, the ass end of the wild card last year on the east side was Washington.
Yeah,
Everybody's a year older. They really haven't improved the team that much in the offseason.
they
I
haven't.
I don't see them even if it's not Columbus knocking them out. I just don't see Washington making it next year.
Did they get? Was it Kemper they got?
Did they get Darcy?
I'm not sure. I know that they got rid of not Samsonov, but the other one that they had there that went over to somewhere else. I'm blanking right now, but
Trying to.
um, yeah, I could. The other thing about them is
Yeah, you're
um,
you're you're absolutely correct. Yes.
yeah, they got Kemper.
Yeah.
So here's the thing about Kemper. I like Kemper. I don't. He was on such a good team last year, but he's like halfway through the playoffs there, he got a stick to the eye, and then man, eye injuries. That's scary.
It was it
And,
was
and
scary at the time too. I mean that looked bad.
yeah,
You
absolutely.
Fix your
And
mask.
yeah, and he came back a few games later or whatever, and like he played all right, but he
Yeah.
was not. And it's
Uh,
weird saying this because he's the Stanley Cup winning goalie, but he was not really that good. Like that's the first like cup win that wasn't a goalie being lights out in a
yeah.
long time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Agreed.
Um, but for Washington too, I'm pretty sure Nick Backstrom is out for quite some time.
Yeah.
And like you said, everyone's getting older and they haven't really added any youth anytime recently. No, Ovi's getting older. He's probably still going to put up 45, 50 goals. And
Yeah. I mean, he's still going to do his thing, but I mean, the surrounding cast is just
yeah,
not.
and
They're
even
just
Kuznetsov isn't as young as you would think, right?
yeah.
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 Yeah,
Agreed.
I could see that happening for sure.
Mhm. So who's your first team that didn't make it the playoffs last year that's going to make it next season?
My thought, I'm just going to kick off with the one that everyone's talking about, and that's the Ottawa Senators.
Yeah.
They've gone out and picked up Claude Giroux.
To me, that's like the most minor part of what they did this offseason.
That's I'm going to keep going here.
Yeah, yeah,
I think the most underrated thing they did was pick up Cam Talbot.
sure.
And this is going to sound like such a homer thing because we just talked about how great Gaudreau is going to be in Columbus, and now I'm going to talk about how great our old goalie Cam Talbot's going to be. But like, if Matt Murray, oh yeah, like the upgrade on Matt Murray is just so crazy with Talbot, and he's not going to be a starter. He's probably going to be a 1A because Forsberg's pretty good too.
Yeah,
So I think that's great. They have great prospects coming up in the system. Jake Sanderson's ready to go. He's going to be good. Eric Brandstrom's ready to go. He's going to be. These guys are all going to be fairly like elite within the next 3 years, and just learning from guys like Hamonic and Shabbat as they go. And they picked up Alex DeBrincat. I mean, come on.
yeah, no, for sure. I mean, obviously, the Atlantic Division is pretty competitive with with the teams that are in there.
Yeah,
But no, I mean, they're going to be significantly better.
yeah.
They, they might even be in a spot where they're not even a wild card, to be honest.
Like
You know,
on paper, this team is good. Like
yeah,
if you think about having like Brady Kachuk, Josh Norris, Claude Giroux, Alex DeBrincat, Drake Batherson, all in your top six, Tim Stutzel, all in your
yeah,
top six. They just signed him. Like that's a great deal too.
that's a great deal. Yeah,
Yeah. And yeah, I was telling people before they signed Stutzel, not, I mean, he was going to be on the team anyways, but I was telling people I'm probably going to tune into quite a few Ottawa Senators games this year because I feel like they're just going to be really exciting to watch.
yeah, 100%. So Ottawa making it is going to push somebody out. Who's that going to be?
I'm going to go with the Boston Bruins.
Yeah, you can see that.
And I don't think they're going to be bad all year. I think that right now they've got Bergeron, who's questionable for the start of the season. I'm looking at their injury report right now. Question like they signed him, which is great, and they got him to a great deal. But yeah, he's questionable for the start of season with an elbow thing. Marchand is expected to be out until at least December 1st with a hip, probably longer.
Yeah.
A couple of depth defensemen, Mike Riley and Jacob Zaboral are both out. Zaboral might be probable for the start of the season. Charlie McAvoy is expected to be out until at least December, and
That's
Matt
huge.
Gris, yeah, and Matt
That's
Gris, like that's four out of their six defensemen,
yeah.
and Bergeron and Marchand, like
Yeah, Bergeron and Marchand are, I mean, obviously are huge. I mean, I know the fan bases don't like Marchand, but I mean, he's
he's an
effective.
elite player. He's
He is
just a
an
piece of
elite player.
shit.
Yeah,
um, but for me, I think that they're just they're going to be good in the second half of the season once all these guys get back and back into game shape and all that type of stuff. But I feel like the first couple months of the season, they're going to fall behind the eight ball too much for the Eastern Conference.
yeah, they're going to be left behind. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. So
You want
let's
to
let's jump
throw
back
it
into
over
the
to
West.
the.
Let's jump into the West here because we've
Yeah.
done two East division or conference teams. I've got a bold prediction that I know of my fan base, the Calgary Flames fan base, isn't going to be happy with. But given last year was a very disappointing season for this team, um, I actually expected them to be much better than they were. I mean, I despised them as a team, so I was happy where they ended up. But
Yeah.
I honestly think that Vancouver is going to be a playoff uh, team
Yeah. I think
next
they're
year.
much better than they showed last year, at least for
Yeah,
the first bit of the season. I think Boudreau really helped, and it wasn't just the original new coach bump thing that happens,
yeah,
because sure that happened, but then 57 games isn't just a new coach bump. That's the
that's right.
system working for them,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, no, for sure. He's a proven coach, proven leader behind the bench. They've got a really good farm system coming up right now, and
They do.
they're actually looking pretty good for themselves over the next, I'm going to say, between now and 6 years. So
Yeah.
I think they're going to hop back into the race, and obviously if one team comes out or one team goes in, sorry, one team comes out, and for me that team's going to be Dallas. Um, skin of their teeth, so to speak. I mean, they effectively only won because Vegas really shit the bed in the last, I don't know, 3 weeks, 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and
And yeah.
didn't do themselves a service. They're the one team, Dallas is, that I truly didn't think belonged in the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
Even though they took us to 7, I get it. But as far as a full team goes, they for me were not a playoff team.
I think like to be honest, the Flames outplayed them that most of that
Most
series, like
most of the series, yeah,
pretty handily.
yeah,
And I kind of feel like I know what you're saying about Vancouver being something the Flames fans might hate on you for, but I don't think Flames fans want to face Ottinger again. Like, who knows if he's going to be that good again? But like, that was like, I'll be honest, I did the last couple games there. I did not have that much fun watching the
it,
team be goalied that bad. That was frustrating to watch.
I'm not trying to take anything away from Ottinger. He did have an unbelievable series.
Yeah, but that was just one series.
It was one series, and if you look at the shots that the Flames took from the perimeter, because a lot of them were perimeter. When look at the goals that when we finally got in close to him, he couldn't handle the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Lewis's goal with with Luch in front of the net. Like he had no idea what was going on. When we actually applied pressure, he wasn't that good, but
Yeah, that's true.
he was unbelievable from from the hash marks out, and stopping slap shots from the blue line or from the boards and stuff like that. But when it really came push to shove, I I truly believe we were our worst enemy with shots to the crest. Um,
Yeah,
so that's my
and like
take on it, right? I mean, I'm not, like I said, I'm not taking anything away from the kid. Obviously,
I think he's a
he
great young
proved himself.
goalie,
Yeah, he's
but
got a lot
I
of
do
promise.
think we made him look better
100%.
for sure. I think that's what you're trying to get at there,
Yeah.
and I totally agree because he's again. I really like the deal he got. I think that's great for the next few years for Dallas here, but
Mhm.
I also get awfully frustrated when the Flames are watching the Stars, you know, fucking score goals by tipping pucks in front and getting and pushing them around in front of the net,
Yeah.
and the Flames aren't doing the same thing back to Dallas.
Well, exactly.
Yeah,
Allowing Jamie Benn to look like he's a number one, never number one line player. Like
no,
like he's not. He's
he's not. No, he hasn't been for
like
4 years.
exactly
Yeah,
right. I mean, his coaches call him out all the time. His players, the fan bases, but he looked great in that series because the Flames allowed it.
Flames let him look good. Yep.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that sort of stuff frustrates me. So
Another.
that's why
Sorry,
I
go ahead.
think that they weren't as good as it looked on paper. We'll say, given
Yeah.
7 games and all that fun stuff. And so that's it. Vancouver out. Sorry, Vancouver in. Dallas out.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
The okay. I guess we'll just stick with the West then. I'm gonna go, and I guess you were talking about it because Dallas got in because Vegas kind of shat the bed. So Vegas is my pick to make it that didn't here
Mhm.
last season, and that is because despite of Robin Leonard being hurt, and I do like Robin Leonard, but I think they're gonna figure out their goaltending situation um
They,
pretty soon in here. But I
they
also
better
think
hurry.
yeah, but I also think that having a fully healthy, fully trained Eichel and a fully healthy, fully trained Stone, plus having the misfit line, I think is what they call in the Marcia So Carlson line,
Mm.
you know, plus still having maybe getting a little older, but Petrangelo's still really good, I think, and so is Shea Theodore, and they just have the pieces, and I can't see them missing again unless they get decimated by injuries again, like they were.
Yeah.
And now they have, you know, again, Eichel coming back. I think that's going to be huge for them. They've never had a legit first line center.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, they're obviously going to need to get their goaltending figured out in a very short amount of time.
Yeah,
Season is
we got three backups.
that's right. Yeah, they
Yeah,
don't have anybody right now that can start.
no.
So, I mean, I'm not sure exactly how they plan on getting the goaltending figured out in the next 3 weeks before the
Another
season starts.
thing too,
But
Logan Thompson didn't get a huge opportunity last year to play a lot of games, but I think he could step up into being more of a at least a tandem guy and not just a backup. I kind of liked what I saw out of him.
yeah, yeah, no, that's true. I think this season's going to finally answer the question on whether or not Eichel is a winner or not, because everything so far has pointed to no.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I didn't like that narrative because he's always had such a shitty team, um, and shitty ownership, and honestly, like a shitty GM,
Yeah,
and never really had like he had what Victor Olofsson and fucking Jeff Skinner on a who was having a horrible like 3 years there on
yeah,
his line forever, like Kyle Okposo, like he didn't have anyone to play
mm,
with, and he still looked dominant at times. and then he came over to Vegas, and people were like, "Oh, look, they didn't make the playoffs because Eichel's healthy," and it's like,
Yeah.
well, no, the guy was close to a point a game after not playing for over a year. Like, calm
Oh
down.
yeah, yeah. I mean, not he's obviously a good player, but I mean, with being a good player, you have to be a good teammate. And if you're the captain of a team, you're kind of part of the reason why the atmosphere around is shit.
To a point. Well,
And
maybe not being a captain will help too, because
yeah,
Mark Stone's going to be the captain, right?
I think that'll help, right? It'll he won't be the focal point, because he's new to Vegas, so to speak. I mean, obviously a
Oh,
year in, but
yeah,
minus number of months that he missed last year for the surgery.
yeah,
Um, that with that, I mean, Buffalo sure has looked much better since he left. They sure look
yeah.
like they're a happier team, having a good time. So
They
I mean,
do, but the other thing too, like Alex Tuck going the other way, I think having that native, the Buffalo native um guy who really wants to be there, and like I don't
yeah,
think Tuck is a legitimate number one, a first liner, but he's pretty close. You know what I
he's a
mean?
top six, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, he's a top six.
And they've got a lot of guys like with Eichel out, that gives guys like Dylan Cousins, who I'm a huge fan of, and Tage Thompson. Like
Yeah,
he
yeah.
wasn't ever going to get that opportunity with Eichel being a number one center there, right?
Uh,
And I don't think Thompson's going to get 38 goals again, but he's going to be. I think he's a legit 25 goal guy. I
I was
think.
going to say 25 to 30 is not unreasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Um. And I guess with Vegas making it, that's going to kick the Blues out.
So out of the geez, out of that division, so Blues were actually third, right?
Yeah.
With 109 points. So that's a big fall from grace. I think out of the Central. They were, I guess, what, 4 points being out of second place, and I guess, yeah, I mean the highest team in the Pacific last year were the Flames with 111. So
Yeah.
that's only one more win, which is
Yeah.
exactly what the record shows, right? We had 50,
Um,
21, and 11. They had 49, 22, and 11. So literally one win. I mean, it's not a bad prediction. They're, another team that really didn't do much this offseason as
you know
far
what they
as,
did do? And
hmm,
this is the reason. They let Ville Husso walk. Jordan Bennington
yeah,
gets hurt, and Jordan Bennington gets he okay. The reason Flames fans were frustrated with Riddick nearing the end of his tenure was because he was so emotional about things
yeah.
that he let it affect his game. And that's what Bennington does. And that's going to be a problem when they don't have anybody else to play goal. You know what I mean?
That's a fair point. Um, Obviously Bennington, he's a really good goaltender when he's on his game. But no, you're absolutely right. He does let his emotion get the best of him, which isn't a good look for a goalie because I mean, yeah, as soon as you're thinking of anything else other than saving the puck, it's probably not going to go well for you.
Yeah. And like, honestly, I don't know if I'd go as far as to say a really good goalie. Like, he's a good goalie, sure, but I don't think he's. No,
Yeah,
he's almost turning in. You know how Matt Murray was a two. I'm gonna bring it back to Murray all the time because fuck him.
yeah,
But you know how he's kind of a two-hit wonder and then just sucked so far for the rest of his career. Well,
yeah.
Bennington's a one-hit wonder.
Not only two hit wonder, like he literally stole the job from Flower twice.
Yeah, yeah,
So
but
I'm,
then
but
he
yeah,
sucked for the rest of his career.
oh yeah, exactly. And then he was ended up turning into shit. And
Yeah, and it's the same as Bennington for me, anyways. I think Bennington kind of he's good, but he's not that good. You know, it's like he makes the same amount of money as Markstrom. I wouldn't pay him anywhere near as much as I'd pay Markstrom.
No.
But again, he made that coming off of the Stanley Cup that he came in. No teams had a book on him. And yeah, I don't know. And like Justin Falk probably won't recreate his great offensive year.
No.
Colton Parayko, I really like him. They got Marco Scandella and Nick Leddy. Like
Yeah.
they have some good players up front, but like Braden Shen and Ryan O'Reilly, Tarasenko, they're all getting older. I do really like Thomas and Kyrou, but and like they went out and got Brendan Saad. I don't understand that, but yeah,
Yeah.
they got Josh Levo. I didn't even know that.
You know what? I like Josh Levo.
I know
You
you do.
you leave Josh Levo alone. Yeah, I did that.
Okay, I'm gonna leave now. No.
Yeah, I'll see you later. So that was a fun ride down the west side. There's
That's
we got
so you
two.
mentioned Buffalo, right?
I did mention Buffalo. I actually I and like I said, I am one of those true believers that Eichel is a stain in the locker room, and I think he brings teams down. And I feel like Buffalo is on their way up. Um, I know they were, they were still a number of points out of the wild card last year. The end of the season was 75 points, and the Capitals being at 100 points were the last wild card spot.
Yeah.
And there's still two more teams in the Metropolitan as far as points go that were ahead of them. One being Islanders, which obviously would be a decent pick for anybody to make the playoffs, as well as Columbus. But I truly believe that with the things that are happening in Buffalo right now, I think they've got a good feel about them. And God damn it, if the players don't deserve to at least play 4 games at the very least in the
and
postseason.
and the fans, honestly, like that.
On hundred
Like
percent.
it's been a rough go for them for like 15 years.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, and the
not.
fact that they've stuck with it is,
Hmm.
you know, I it feels like being a Flames fan in the '90s.
Yeah, yeah,
In the
exactly.
first couple of years of 2000, first 3 years from 3.5 years of 2000, um, and then after '04, it's kind of been the similar thing, but at least we've made the playoffs on occasion. So obviously, if Buffalo's coming in, I am of the mind that sorry, Sid the Kid, but Pittsburgh's coming out.
Yeah, it's that's a rough one to like. That's a hot take only because they just make the playoffs. Like even when they don't do good, they just make the playoffs. It's kind of the same as Washington generally,
Mm-hmm.
but for a much longer time frame.
I think given the rivalry between the two teams, Penguins and Capitals, um, if Ovi's not going to make it, in my opinion, Pittsburgh probably shouldn't because I mean, I know you have another pick after there, and I would have picked them instead. But
For
the
who's
other,
going out?
yeah,
Oh, really? I didn't think that. Okay.
yeah,
I thought you thought, okay, we'll talk about that after. But Pittsburgh,
mm,
yeah,
yeah,
I could definitely see Pittsburgh falling out. I'm not so sure if I see Buffalo getting in this year. I think kind of the same as Columbus for me, where like they're close and they're going to be real close this year. They're going to be like in that wild card race.
yeah.
I'm not sure if they'll make it, but you're right. The feel around the team is great. And as for
Mm.
Pittsburgh, I just don't know if the Crosby Malkin era has
Well,
much left, and I don't know why they gave Chris Letang a long ass contract.
right,
Like
and
he's good, but he's also
they
falls
don't have
over.
anything to prove. Like they have
Yeah,
nothing more to prove other than just pride at this moment. Which, don't get me wrong, is a pretty big motivator when it comes to professional athletes. And when you have people of Crosby's skill set, that pride and ability can pretty much ride you into things. Same with Malkin. I mean, he's a hell of a player. And the The it was Boston that I was talking about actually, and you've already talked about it, I think,
Oh,
with the
okay.
Ottawa. So not your last pick. I just looked at that and yeah,
Oh, okay. Okay.
we
Yeah,
we
no,
are
but yeah.
we are going to disagree on that one, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So speaking of which, Dylan, why don't you hit us with the haymaker?
Well, okay, well, let's start with the Devils making it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm thinking the New
Okay.
Jersey Devils are gonna make it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's because they're not going to be ravaged by an injury so much this year. Jack uh, uh, Jack Hughes was quite injured last year, and so was um, Dougie Hamilton, who we know I'm not a huge fan of, but he can certainly run a power play pretty good. Um, and they were down like they picked up a goalie this year. Can't remember who right now, but they were down to their like fourth, fifth string goalies at some points last year, and before that happened, they were still in the race, and I just kind of feel like they're gonna step it up.
When before they were in the race in like October.
Mm, yeah, like November before
Yeah,
all their players got hurt.
they're the fifth worst team in the NHL last year, 63 points.
Yeah,
But I mean that's like I said, that's bold. I
yeah,
uh I do agree with what you're saying. I just don't know if it's enough to get them up and over the hump.
that's fair. Um, who did they pick up? Oh, they picked up Vanacek and Blackwood. Like Blackwood was
Blackwood's
ravaged
a
by. He's a
Blackwood's a
good
good pickup.
goalie,
Yeah,
and he
that's a good
was
pickup.
hurt last year.
Yeah.
For wow, they still have Corey Schneider on buyout too.
Jesus Christ.
And they
When
picked up John Marino. I think that was a really and Jonas Siegenthaler. I like both of those players for their defense to help their goalies out. Like they give Dougie probably some less time playing defense would be good for them too.
right?
Um, I'm a huge fan of Yegor Sharangovich. I think he's got all the tools to become a legit number one winger in the league. And
Yeah.
they picked up Andre Palat, who's the type of guy who, I don't think he's a 30 goal, 100-point guy, but I think he's been there, done that, and he can calm these young guys down. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I
I
agree.
think they made some great ads, and I think Vanacek taking some of that Blackwood time um will help. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Those are all good reasons to be optimistic if you're a Devils fan. Um so okay, so now that we've heard your reason on that, why don't you hit us with who's coming out, Dylan?
the Florida Panthers.
What? Damn.
Yeah, so I can't see Sergei Bobrovsky replicating what he did last year at all, especially if they continue to be this high flying offensive team that kind of is secondary on defense.
Yeah.
Um, they've I love Matthew Tkachuk. Matthew Tkachuk's one of my favorite players in the league, and fucking at me and comment us here all about how much I'm wrong and how much of a piece of shit he is, but I like him. But I don't think that replaces what Huberdeau left because they don't have anybody to distribute the puck anymore.
Well, it's not only Huberdeau. I mean, missing a guy that filled in as one of your top defensive players.
Well, yeah,
Like that's a big loss to me.
like
I mean that's the combination of the two, right? Like when you're, obviously your highest point getter and one of last year's, best defenseman. That's
yeah,
yeah. You can't drop two of those guys and expect to be competitive. Um,
and like to me, Aaron Ekblad, I love Aaron Ekblad. He's injury prone.
right.
He gets the odd concussion, and like man, that fucking broken leg he had last year, that was scary to watch.
Yeah.
Um, but if he loses any games, if he loses one game, then that game, their defense is going to be Brandon Montour, Gustav Forsling, Radko Gudas, Lucas Carlson, whoever that is, and Callie Slagen you know who
Yeah. Yeah.
know what I mean?
Fair.
Like
Fair enough.
Mark Stahl, like fucking 35-year-old Mark Stahl,
Yeah.
who's like had a great career, but yeah. And again, like I like their forwards. I like Sam Reinhart, Barkov, Kachuk. I even like Hornquist. Um, I don't think that Bennett or Duclair. I can see them being better than they have been, a couple of years ago. But I don't see them replicating what they did last year. As far as those two played with Huberdeau all year last year, and they both had career years because of it. That's probably not going to happen again.
I feel like that was a slight against Richard. Was that a slight against Richard?
It no, I'm trying to not be a dick to Sam Bennett because I'm saying he's still going to be okay. But yes, it was.
You should try to not be a dick to Richard. He's a good guy. I
He is
mean,
a good guy. Um. Anyways, and like Verhage is a good young player who's just getting better. And Barkov is obviously one of the best two-way forwards in the league. And I still think that at $10 million, that's a fucking steal for Barkov,
right.
even at 10, which seems ridiculous to say, but that's how much I like Barkov. But I don't know, like, what are they going to do to distribute the puck, bring up Anton Lundell and fucking Ryan Lomberg and Nick Cousins? Like, they don't have that guy to make plays anymore. And Kachuk can, but he's nowhere near as good
Kachuk,
at it.
He's not a playmaker.
He's not. He's a play driver.
He's involved in the play 100%, but he doesn't make it.
No, absolutely not.
I mean, him digging in the corners and behind the net are,
he's elite at that,
amongst the best in the league. But I mean, getting the puck from the defensive end to the offensive end is not Matthew Kachuk.
And I don't know about his vision and his skating. They're gonna miss Huberdeau, and like I said, like you were saying with Uyghur, Ekblad is good, but he's the only top 4 defenseman on their team.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm sorry, like, all due respect to Brandon Montour and Gustav Forsling, Forsling could get there, but like right now they've got Gudas in their top 4, and then they've got 2 random nobodies in their bottom 2. I just don't, especially with Bobrovsky in that, I just can't. Maybe it's a bomb to drop saying that the President's Trophies winners is gonna fall out, but
maybe it's a bomb to drop.
Maybe.
Interesting.
It is a bomb to drop, but still, that's
fucking huge. But I love it. I love it. That's why people tune in, so they can hear some of the things
some of the stupid shit I say.
Some of the stupid shit that Dylan and Chris say on a nightly basis. Really, we don't even have to be on the podcast.
Yeah,
we'll comment on social media with some ridiculousness. We'll chat back and forth with some. Huh? You said what? All the time.
Yeah,
all the time. It's good. It's
stuff.
Good stuff. You know what? It sounds to me like you're a betting man. So why don't we listen to this?
Yeah.
The NFL's opening week was action-packed and is just getting started. Get ready for week 2 of touchdowns, big plays, and even bigger wins with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. This week, new customers can bet just $5 on any football game and get $200 in free bets instantly. You want more action? Everyone can experience the thrill of DraftKings early win promotion. It's simple. This Sunday, bet on any NFL team to win. If your team leads by 10 points, at any point during the game, you get paid instantly, even if your team loses. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code THPN to get $200 in free bets instantly when you place a $5 bet on any football game. That's code THPN, only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Minimum age, restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
Well, Dylan, that was an interesting few takes from both of us there on the bold predictions. Speaking of predictions, why don't we talk about the Flames in the upcoming season? Who, what, where, when, and why? Let's start off with where do you think we end up in the standings?
I'm gonna say we are, and I'm gonna get shit for this, but I think the Oilers are gonna beat us in the regular season this year. I think we're gonna be somewhere around the 102 to 106 points, and the Oilers are probably going to be around 110. But that's going to be first and second in the Pacific. We're still going to make the playoffs, and I'm going to tell you why real quick.
I just had to change your name real quick.
Dylan's wrong.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting. I would like to hear why.
Okay, you haven't muted me, have you?
No. I mean, I thought of it. Well, I'll let you get at least 1 or 2 points in the why before. I mean, I am hovering over the mute, but let's hear what you got.
So last season, the Flames ran away kind of with the division, and that's because we kind of got off to a rolling start and continued rolling most of the year, like after the first couple games. And we went in with like Matthew Tkachuk and Johnny Gaudreau and Elias Lindholm having a bunch of chemistry already.
Okay.
And they ran that season for us. In large part, they were the best line in the league, right?
100%, they were the best line in the league. I think a lot of what happened at the first 2 months, especially of the season, is what Mangiapane brought to the table.
Oh, that helped a lot too. Yeah.
But I do understand what you mean, because I mean, obviously, they were the best line in hockey last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do think that as this upcoming season rolls along, I think that Huberdeau and Lindholm and whoever plays with them, they're gonna get chemistry. I don't know if they're gonna be as good as Tkachuk and Lindholm and Gaudreau were. In fact, I'm gonna say they probably won't be.
Right.
I think there's going to be a more balanced attack this year, but I also think that it's going to take, because of the fact that the guys that left and the guys that came in are all really big parts of the team. It's not like we're replacing a bottom six, a third line winger and a third line third pairing defenseman. We brought in first or second pairing defenseman, and we brought in a first line winger, and there's going to have to be new chemistry, and so there's going to have to play with the lines and play with the pairings for the first couple months of the season, I think. And I think that the Oilers are just kind of going to probably run away with it a bit to start, and then we'll start catching up. But I don't think we'll end up catching up. I think but then I think that our chemistry will be set for the playoffs, and we're going to have a better playoff run.
I agree with what you say there, and I mean one of the biggest things that happened early on in the season last year. Do you remember in October when we went on that 6-game road trip and swept the East?
Yeah, didn't Vladar have back-to-back wins against like Tampa and Florida or something crazy like that?
I think it was God, was it Jersey and Pittsburgh maybe?
I can't remember which teams it was. I remember he had back-to-back wins, and one of them was a shutout, and we were all like, oh shit, this kid's for real. Anyways.
Yeah, so like starting in October 21st, Detroit 3-0, Washington 4-3, Rangers 5-1, Jersey 5-3, Pittsburgh 4-0, Philly 4-0. I mean,
Yeah.
that's fucking huge.
Yeah, exactly. And like this year, that's going to be 3 wins. If that same thing were to happen this year, right? Because I just don't see us rolling out of the gate quite as good as we did. You know what I mean?
No, and that's fair. Obviously, the one thing to take away from that, I mean, we played Detroit, who was ass last year. We played Washington, who just squeaked in the last spot in the wild card.
Philly.
We played Rangers, which obviously were a pretty damn good team with 110 points, and then we played the Devils, who were fifth last, and then we played Pittsburgh, which okay, they just kind of hung around and did their thing, and then Philly. So it's not like we went and annihilated elite talent, but just given that schedule for 6 games was unreal.
No, I couldn't agree more, and that really helped us get ahead in the standings quickly. And I don't want people to get it twisted here. I'm not saying like the Flames are going to suck ass for the first couple months or anything. I just think it's going to take some time for them to gather enough chemistry to start going on 5-0 runs.
Yeah, no, and I agree. Obviously, we've got a pretty big addition to the top line. It's going to take them a little bit to get some or build some chemistry with Lindholm. So yeah, I can see us kind of having a bit of a rocky start. I'm not gonna panic if it does happen. And here's hoping that Markstrom and Vladar can steal 2 or 3, 4 games in October to just to kind of keep us afloat and keep us grounded and keep us above 500.
And also, like, even if Mangiapane does end up with 35 goals again next season, which I doubt, he's not gonna get 28 of them in the first 2 months of the season like he did last year.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, that I can't remember the exact number, but it was something fucking nuts like that.
Yeah, and that's fair. I don't feel that Edmonton is gonna have as good of a start as you do. My one factor on that is I don't think Campbell is a very good goalie at all.
Oh no, I think he's better than Smith. I don't think he's an elite goalie, but I think he's better than Smith.
Sure, right? Yeah, I mean there's I mean shit. There's 60 goaltenders that are going to be starting and backing up next year that are better than Smith.
I think that the Oilers can probably outscore fucking Campbell a little bit more than they can outscore Smith.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit, maybe not a lot, but again, they had 104 points last season, and I'm saying they're going to get 110, right? So they're not going to be a lot better.
Sure.
But
that's fair. I think we're probably I think the Flames are gonna sit around the 107 to 110 mark as well.
Yeah.
So I don't have the Oilers quite at 110. I think they're actually gonna hover between the same thing with 107 to 110. And I think
so you think we're gonna be pretty close to them?
I think it's gonna come down to the last 2 games of the season to decide who's top of the Pacific between the Flames and the Oilers.
And that just adds more drama to it, right? Like that totally. That's good. I wouldn't hate that.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about goalies for a second here.
Talk about goalies.
So last year,
Markstrom
made 63 starts, which is a lot. Not as much as Kiprusoff, but a lot.
Yeah, right.
I think Kiprusoff had an 80 or a 71 start season. It's just what Sutter does, right? And Markstrom's never going to say no, right, to a start. even when he probably should. But I think that the team gained some confidence in Vladar last year.
So could you imagine having a Mika in front of last year's team or this year's team? So I just want to just quickly go
Yeah.
through this for just real quick, and then we'll get back to Markstrom.
Yeah.
So starting in 0506, it was games played 74, 74, 76, 76, 73, 71, 70. I can't imagine why he walked out of his contract. Fucking hell. That's insane.
That's amazing.
That's
That's
insane.
insanity.
And especially given, I mean, he wasn't exactly the pillar of health.
No,
You know what I mean? Like
he's fucking best goalie in franchise history.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, just wanted to have a quick little
Yeah, no, that's
look at that. Like
those numbers are insane. That means he had 12 games off
in a
or
season.
8 games off for 2 of those seasons.
Yeah.
Like Christ.
Back-to-back years, 8 games off.
Yeah. It's funny. So I was listening to the 960 as I do today, and they have Brent Cron on, who was I believe, 1 game.
He was an
goalie
absolute franchise great in net for the Calgary Flames.
Yeah, as far as being a character is concerned. But anyways,
always available.
He is a guy who played goal at a professional level, and I really thought it was interesting. He was talking about Markstrom and how some guys, if they have a game or 2 off after they struggle, it's just going to hurt them more, and other guys it doesn't.
Right.
But he sees and he thinks that Markstrom's the type of guy who wants to get back in there and prove that the last game was a fluke if he sucked that last game.
Right.
But at the same time, you've got a 31-year-old goaltender who's had a fairly heavy workload over the last 5-6 years. And he had great numbers last year, 2.2 goals against, 922 save percentage. He had 37 wins. So where do you think his starts and wins land next year? Do you think Sutter kind of kicks him down a peg a little bit as far as starts are concerned, or?
Well, I think he will bring him down a little bit. If nothing more, but then because he looked exhausted when it came to the second round last year against Edmonton.
He did.
And so, I mean, 63 starts. I mean, he had, obviously, I mean, he had career numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not any slight on Markstrom at all, but I think he needs to start 58 to 60 at most.
Yeah. Okay. 58 was going to be my number. Yeah. I think that 5 less games, and then that gives Vladar more chance as well. And I think that the team rallies around Vladar sometimes too, because he's got that infectious attitude, that good attitude.
He does. Yeah, he wants to play. He wants, he wants to do well for his team.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, and he's young, right? So
yeah. And I was really impressed with Vladar. So yeah, so that, I guess that makes C58 22 starts then for Vladar.
Oh boy, yeah, opposed to 19, right?
Yeah,
that he had last year.
So yeah, I mean, I think that's good, and gives Markstrom some time off, and even if he doesn't want it, maybe sometimes he needs it. But yeah. I don't know. So we have the same amount of number of starts. How many wins do you think in 58 games
for Markstrom?
Yeah.
I'm going to say 34. So 3 less wins than he had last year with 5
less games.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
I think he has a much better defense in front of him, and I think he's going to love that.
Me too. Yeah, that's a good point. Um, do you think his numbers are going to go up as far as save percentage and goals against go down type of thing? Or
I
I
think
think
I think they'll be closer to what his actual career average is of 912 save percentage and 269 goals
yeah,
against. I think it'll be closer to that, which, if we can get, 912 to 915 out of them, and, less, obviously less than three, considerably less than three, then great.
yeah, yeah. That'll win us a playoff spot. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Um, let's just do a couple more things here. Let's do just points and goals. Who's gonna have the most goals, do you think, in Flames land this year?
In Flames land, Elias Lindholm, in my opinion, is going to have the most goals. He's the most obvious recipient of Huberdeau's playmaking ability. He had what do you have, 42 last year? Yeah, 42 last year. So I I know in a podcast I did a couple of weeks ago, I said he was going to get closer to 50. I think he'll, thinking about it long and hard. I think he's still going to get 40 again this year.
On the dot?
I'm going to say 41.
I think it's hard to go with anyone else for the most goals. I know a lot of people are going to have Mangiapane there. I can't go anywhere other than Lindholm though. Like I don't see Mangiapane definitely getting more than he had last year. I can't
No,
see him being within 7 of what he had last year, to be honest.
no,
Um,
exactly.
and that's not a slight on him. I think he's a fine player. I just don't think that 35 goals is a realistic thing for him to get every year.
I am going to say it is a slight on him, uh, to a certain degree, just because of how non-existent he was come the middle of December.
For like most of the year.
Yeah, majority
Yeah.
of the year, exactly.
Yeah.
Obviously, Andrew's not going to have the chance or the opportunity to play with an elite playmaker like Huberdeau, so that will hinder his goal
He
production.
could though. Like a lot of people seem to think that's going to happen. I just, I mean, I think he'll probably get a chance, but I don't think he'll keep it.
I think that's
Honestly.
a lot of minutes for him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
He does better with less minutes, and he does really good with. He does the best with third line minutes.
Yeah.
But he does really good with third line minutes. So,
yeah, that's fair.
I'm going to go with. You said 41 for Lindholm.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 44.
Ooh, more than, I like it.
Mm-hmm. I don't know why. I feel like he's going to, without having a quote unquote elite player on both sides of him this year, I feel like he's going to both, he's going to have, he's going to feel more of a load to score more goals. And I also think he's going to, and this might be a hot take too, but I feel like he's going to get a little bit less defensive responsibility with having Kadri.
Yeah, good point.
So he might get more of those offensive starts, especially if he's playing with Huberdeau.
Yeah, but if you think about,
he's still going to play
like when we weren't on the penalty kill, Lindholm was pretty much always blessed with offensive starts because they weren't going to put Johnny in a defensive start situation. So I don't know if he'll be more because of it, but I do understand what you mean. Like there is somebody that can play that role for defensive
he's going to be less
but
physically physically taxed because there's going to be, two other very good two-way centers that can take some of those harder minutes away from him every once in a while. Because like you're right, when he was playing with Gaudreau, he was always given those first line minutes, but I feel like his PK is probably going to go from a minute 20 down to a minute, or a minute 20 down to 50 seconds or something.
Yeah,
like that.
that's right. There's somebody that can jump over the boards at any given time, whether it be Backlund or Kadri. So
Yeah, and we can have 3 PK units, like 3 legit PK units, right?
Yeah.
So that's my thinking on that.
Yeah.
What about points? Who's going to lead the team in points this year?
Well, I think it's obviously going to be the setup guy for Lindholm.
Yeah, Huberdeau.
Yeah, it's got to be Huberdeau.
This is a pretty anticlimactic ending considering we just agree on everything now.
Yeah. Leader in points. Dylan Dubé, come on down.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. No, I mean
that would be nice, but
clearly it's got to be somebody from the top line, and right now there's only 2 true top line players, that we have set, as far as in my opinion, set in stone. So I mean, I think he's going to assist on pretty much 85% of Elias's goals.
Yep.
And
probably more.
And probably, yeah, right.
Yeah.
As well as set up, whoever else is going to end up playing right wing for Calgary.
Yeah. So how many points? With 115 last year, setting a record for left wing assists ever in the league.
116.
1 more point than he had last year.
Yes.
Okay, so we don't agree on everything.
So, and the reason why, he'll be playing with better players.
I guess he won't be playing with Bennett and Duclair, right?
Yeah.
That's true. I mean, he gave both of those guys a career years. And like, I don't say he gave them those years. I don't say that jokingly. He did. He gifted them those years. I truly believe that. Like, Duclair is a fine player, and honestly, Bennett's better than I give him credit for usually, but he's just, neither of them are as good as they were with him, I don't think. So I can see why you say that. I'm just thinking because there's less of a there's less pre-existing chemistry.
Yep. I think
I think he's probably going to get more like 90, 95.
How much existing chemistry did he have with
Bennett and Duclair? They played half the year before.
Okay.
So like basically the same thing as Tkachuk and Gaudreau.
Okay. So that being said, then, because Elias is a hell of a lot better than both of those players,
yeah,
I think they're going to be pretty much ready to rock and roll by mid-October. It's not going to take them long.
That's soon. You see, I'm maybe I put too much into the chemistry thing or how long it takes. Also, I think it might take Huberdeau a little bit longer to get used to the Sutter defense first system, especially after playing under the was it Andrew Brunette? I can't remember.
Offense the guy who took wins over games. Offense wins championships. Oh shit!
Offense wins President's trophies and loses playoff rounds.
I thought that was the Capitals' mantra, right? That was their. That
was it
page 1 through 65 of their playbook. Was score goals will go far. Ah, damn it, Pittsburgh.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm going with 90, 95 ish. I'll just go right in the middle. 90, 93 points for.
So not even 100. Wow.
No.
Wow.
He's I don't know what his career average is, but he's usually between like 85 and 100, and he's eclipsed 100. I don't know if he has. Yeah, he has a couple times, I think. But yeah, I'm gonna, and then the year after, I think he'll start.
Last year was the first time he got over 100.
Okay.
So the guy, I mean, gets traded on a Friday night while he's out with the boys, gets a phone call when he's thought he's trying to negotiate a long-term extension. Comes to Calgary, signs a deal, does everything right.
Dylan shits on him.
And then Dylan just comes and kicks him the dink with 92. Well done.
I said 93.
My bad. My fucking bad.
But like, okay.
So the reason why I say 92 because before last year that was his career high. So you're giving him one more than his previous career high. So you know what? It's not that bad, Dylan.
And yeah, like honestly, 92 points is, no matter how many games you play in a season, 92 points is much over a point a game.
Much over.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
That's horrible. You know,
right?
I'm shitting all over him, right? But no, like you said, like he had 61 points in 55 games in that shortened season. He had 92 points in 82 games.
I mean, he's going to get 43 assists on Lindholm alone, right? Oh, no, I did say like 85 to 90. Never mind. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right.
And like, honestly, 92 points for a fucking, you know, a guy on a new team. I think that's great. So I'm sticking with 93.
Yeah, if he can get in the 90s for points, there'll be a lot of jersey sales.
Oh, 100%. People will be happy.
Yeah.
I think people are expecting 115 because they don't look at the rest of his career and they don't think about chemistry or systems or just culture shock or elevation or anything like that, right?
The one thing I like about looking at his stats, and I know it's not it's a team stat more than anything, and I get all that fun stuff, but he's a plus 41 in his career,
and he played in Florida for like,
well, all of it.
Like, yeah, but I'm saying like 8 of those years were like Florida being a fucking horrible team, right?
100%.
So
45 people in the stands, and yeah, just a terrible team.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
So I wonder how much he's going to feed off the crowd because he's never really had that.
I think that's going to be an interesting dynamic. That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's seen it as a visitor, to other barns, but he's never had a team behind him like that, or a fan base behind him. Sorry.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
do you have any other predictions or anything else you want to talk about, or
any other predictions?
How far do we get in the playoffs?
Oh God.
Way too soon predictions.
Right. I may not be able to answer that in March. I mean,
yeah, right.
Do I go with my gut and what I hope, or do I go with being smart? My hope is we meet Edmonton in the second round again and we fucking smash them. Fuck those guys.
Yeah.
The intelligence side of me says, it'd be a good series.
Yeah. I think there's less of a chance of, if we do meet Edmonton again, which I think there's a pretty large chance if both teams are making the second round, they're meeting each other.
Yeah.
At least in the second, if not the first.
And obviously it needs to be an actual Battle of Alberta. That was just pathetic.
It was.
Goaltending was atrocious.
I remember talking to you right after the first game, and I'm like, fucking 9-6 or whatever it was. Yeah. Hey, Chris, is this going to be a good way to continue playing against Edmonton, trying to score 9 goals every game? And guess what? It wasn't.
Well, I mean,
we didn't.
as I said, and you said as well, it was probably one of the worst games I've ever watched. Even though we won, it was horrendous.
And watching it and having so much Like, obviously you get excited when the team scores that much, but you're also sitting there like, oh, and then go up by 3, the Oilers come back. Go up by 3, the Oilers come back. Like,
Yeah.
fucking shut it down. Like,
Well, yeah.
don't give them a glimpse of hope, and that's what they did.
When you've got a 3-goal lead and you're yelling at your TV for 80% of the the fucking
right.
games, like Jesus Christ, figure it out.
Yeah. It wasn't a pleasant couple weeks. Honestly, like, as exciting as it was and like as fun as it was to be at the game with you, that was not like, that was a stressful playoff run to watch.
Right.
The Dallas series.
Right. Dallas in 7. Are you fucking kidding me?
There's no, like, yes, it was a game 7 overtime winner, and that's incredible. It shouldn't have taken that long.
The theatrics were great, but we should not have been there. We shouldn't have been there for game 6.
No. And like, oh man, I still remember watching that goal, that overtime goal from Johnny, and I like sat like, I could swear Dallas was going to win that game just because it's so Calgary, right?
Yep.
Like, to actually finally be playing fairly well and be a dominant force in the regular season, and then be playing okay in the playoffs, and having a goalie who's playing good in the playoffs, and then just to not win.
Yeah.
And
100%.
I just, and then, I didn't even like get to our group chats or anything for like 10 minutes after that goal went in, because I just like sat on my couch and stared into nothingness. Like, like it was like a giant like exhale, you know what I mean? And then the Oilers thing started, and it just sucked.
I felt similar. Other like, I didn't make it into the group chat either, but mostly because I was cleaning up parts of my ceiling that were on my couch. Because
you jumped so high.
Oh Christ! Yeah, I mean, thankfully I'm a former drywaller, so it was an easy repair. But good God,
yeah,
that was exciting. Yeah, and just obviously the way it happened, like that style of goal, which is just vintage Johnny Gaudreau.
It is, and like nobody would have. It's funny because it's vintage Johnny Gaudreau, but nobody would have thought that that's how the game 7 overtime winner.
No.
And like, I remember thinking after that went into, I was like, oh man, this is finally going to shut everyone up about how Johnny's not a playoff performer and blah, he's got over a point a game in the playoffs.
And they still shit on him.
And they still shit on him to the point where he left. Like,
yeah, to be honest, if I honestly truly felt that if we were going to win that game, it was going to be something stupid like a between the legs by Kachuk.
Yeah.
A goal that would make Sutter angry.
I thought it would be something like like Coleman thinking the puck is a soccer ball or something like that.
Oh man, no, he saved that for round 2. Come on.
Anyways,
yeah, you know what? On that note, fuck you, Dylan.
Fuck me.
There it is. That was a lot of fun talking some bold predictions to start off the show with some makes and misses as far as around the league goes. You'll notice that the Flames are not on that list. Obviously, we're really looking forward to the upcoming season.
Absolutely.
I mean, literally just like a couple of weeks away from action, which I can't wait. As much as I love watching the international stuff, it's just not quite the same.
It's not.
If you stuck it out this long, we appreciate you being around. Go ahead and smash that like, share us around, download off whether on Spotify, Apple, iHeart. The links will be in the description. We love talking Flames. We're going to be here for a while.
Give us your bold predictions in the comment section on YouTube too. That's very interested to hear what people have to think about ours and what theirs are.
Except for Greg, I don't think I want to hear Greg's.
He never comments.
Right.
Only like 7 comments every
only kidding.
Thank
Greg.
you though, Greg. Keep doing it.
Yeah. Feel free to comment. your bold predictions for the upcoming season. I'm Chris. This is Dylan. It's been the Armchair GM podcast. Cheers.
Cheers.